Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hope you're well, hope you're enjoying what's probably the best weather we've had in a little while out there. So if you are outside today, enjoy it. If you're stuck at work, I'm sorry. I know, I've ruined your day. This video is kind of talking around more quotes around things that we're going to be talking around Manchester United's interest in Lille striker Jonathan David and what that means for Spurs. We're talking about some quotes from Fabrizio Romano on the summer window, maybe what to expect, as well as Team Talk talking about striker options and basically Spurs' options when it comes to the striker situation if they are to go that way. So plenty to talk about, plenty to get into. I just want to say that if you are new, give us a little subscribe. If you're not sure, can join us for the journey. And let me start with the Manchester United interest in Jonathan David. So if you didn't know Mark Goldbridge before hearing this, Mark Goldbridge runs the United Stand on YouTube. He was the influence for me getting into this sort of world. And I really like Mark. But also the thing with the United Stand is because they are so big, because they have such a reach and range, they actually get fed a lot of information that even journalists don't get fed. So they're very much in the know. When they say something, they're normally very spot on. So he put out on a tweet, United have been extensively scouting Jonathan David from Lille, starting to tick a lot of boxes on price, age, experience, work rate and ability to come in and be a backup to Rasmus. He goes on to say his price had always been too restrictive for big clubs to take a chance on him, but with 1 year left on his deal, his price made way more palatable. One concern might be his lack of height at 5'9" and can lead the line on side for a side that wants to go long sometimes. So look, we know we've obviously been linked to Jonathan David a handful of times, and I do think it's a card that could be played this summer. Okay, the fact that he does have a year left on his contract come summertime plays a big part in these things. He is moving this summer. Where is it that he moves to? Now, Lille are going to obviously want to sell it to the highest bidder. That's obviously to be expected. The Premier League will be that. That's how I feel about it. It may not be the best move for Jonathan David, but it will be the best move for Lille because of the fact they're going to get more money from it. And I was sort of thinking about the Premier League and who might want him is where I was thinking. And I was thinking, it's not going to be Man City, it's not going to be Liverpool, it's not going to be Arsenal. Villa, no, got Watkins. So it's not any of the current top four. Spurs are in 5th. Well, we've been linked to him, so we'll put him on the list. Man United, obviously, from this, put him on the list. Oh, do you know what? I couldn't tell you who's 7th. I think it's Brighton. I think it is. Obviously, he's not going to go there. I was thinking, would Newcastle? Well, they've got Callum Wilson, Alexander Isak. He's not going to start there because Alexander Isak I really quite like, by the way. I think he's a very good goal scorer. West Ham. And I thought about West Ham and I thought, Bowen's done well as a striker. Kudus does really well out on the wing. But actually, is there a possibility that you had Kudus out on one wing, Bowen out on the other, and Jonathan David through the centre? I think West Ham have been burnt a little bit by, high-priced sort of striker signings when you think of Scamacca, right? Or Sebastian Haller. There you go, some ball knowledge for you. Would they go the same route? Potentially. I think I would want Spurs to go elsewhere. That's the way I would sum it up. So, yeah, I'll probably talk about him a little bit when I come to the striker options. I just wanted to talk about what Fabrizio Romano said through JD Football, and he talks about Spurs, and he said, I see Tottenham signing an important midfielder in the summer, a really important one. I think they want to add something special in that position. When talked about wingers, he said that kind of player is a priority. I don't think I've said anything there that you're sitting there going, Jesus Christ, what? I think they want to sign a big midfielder. I think they want to sign a big winger. I think they want to sign 2 big players in those 2 positions, right? And what I mean by big players is players that can come in and start. We might go and get a striker, we might go and get a fullback or a centre half, but you may not think they're going to start. Whereas you think of a winger or centre midfielder, there's a potential there they could start. That's not to say that they're weak positions. I'm just saying when they are talking about the size of transfers and things like that, there's a potential that could happen. The fact that we're playing 2 or 3 times a week next season, which, by the way, I'm really looking forward to. there's been times where I've not seen Spurs for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and I need a little bit, I need a slice here and there of a little bit more football. But when we talk about, you know, the Conor Gallaghers of the world, we're talking about a guy that potentially could come in and start. When we talk about Pedro Neto, Eberechi Eze, Inaki Williams, we're talking about players that could come in and start. And that's why I think Spurs are looking at, they're not looking at a project at wing. They're not. They might look at that as a secondary option in terms of, we're going to get our winger, then we're going to get the secondary option. So, for example, if they were like, right, we're going to go and get Eberechi Eze, we're also going to sign Rooney Bargi to kind of develop alongside the first team, fine. But they're not going to go and get Rooney Bargi as the #1 option. They're going Eze, Inaki Williams, Neto, or someone else that we don't even know about, which there's always that potential. So I don't think it's very shocking. I want to talk about the article from Team Talk surrounding the striker option. So I actually went through a big old list of strikers that, you know, dream signings. They talk about realistic signings, talk about, you know, future sort of strikers and things like that. The article said that Tottenham are finally expected to sign a marquee striker this summer. And Team Talk says there's 9 options for Ange Postecoglou. And they talk about different categories. I'm not going to go through the whole list. I'm not. Jonathan David was on the list as a realistic signing, and I think he is a realistic signing in terms of Spurs have the money to buy him, he'd want to come, all that stuff in between. I mean, I'll give you an idea. The dream signings were like Harry Kane, right? The realistic signing, the future signings, there's a few interesting names, but for me, I don't think we should be looking at a future signing at striker. You have a Dane Scarlett, you have a Alejo Veliz, you have Will Lancashire, and Will Lancashire's name came up on that article. You know, he scored, pretty much won every game this season for the Premier League 2 side, who are absolutely crushing it at the moment. I wouldn't want to sign a future star or a guy that we want to sort of train up. I think we have those sort of stars. We have a Scarlett, we have a Veliz, we have a Lancashire. We shouldn't be looking at any more of those, okay? But, and this is the key thing that we need to think about, what happens with Richarlison and Summer? Do Spurs get an offer they can't refuse? Sonny's obviously not getting any younger. So I wouldn't want to go into the season where, let's say we sold Richie, right? And we didn't replace him. We just went into the season with Sonny and Veliz and Scarlett, for example. I don't think that's enough. So if we were to keep Richarlison, I don't know if they'd go the striker route. But if they were to sell Richarlison, I do think they go the striker route. And I do think they go and get a signing there. I mean, some of the other realistic names were like Santiago Jimenez and things like that. But, you know, the article did mention Vincent Janssen and how we did get burnt by a guy who scored 31 goals in the Eredivisie the season before joining Spurs, and he scored 6 for us in the time he was at Spurs. Yes, he was sitting behind a guy who was absolutely killing it in Harry Kane. So you give him a bit of leeway, but you can't give him that much, you know, for the return that we got. They mentioned Ivan Toney, and I think it's a weird one at the moment because of the fact he talks about Brentford so much and the fact that he's like, oh yeah, Real Madrid would be a great move, and, you know, I want to, you know, go and do these things, blah, 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 blah. And I get, look, he's getting a bit older now. He wants to play Champions League football. He wants to, yeah, I totally get that as well, because, you know, this might be one of the last summers that he gets that move, that last big move and the last big contract. I can see why he's like, I do want to move. And I think Brentford will move him, but I also think he's playing a game where he's starting to alienate some teams because they're looking at it going, he doesn't shut up. Like, fair enough, he did an interview, you know, ages ago and said, look, I do want to play Champions League football. You know, if Brentford got a good deal, we'll have to wait and see. But it's like, it's something that just keeps cropping up. These videos of him saying, I want to move to a Champions League club. I want to do this. I want to do that. And it doesn't look good on him for his attitude towards Brentford. Now, when he plays with Brentford, obviously, it looks like a guy that's dedicated. But, you know, there's reports that Arsenal are not as interested anymore, you know. There's reports that there isn't as many clubs in for him. You might find a Chelsea, but Chelsea, I'm going to talk about in another video, have got more issues than we think with financial fair play, which I will talk about in the next video, I promise. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But anyway, guys, at the end of the video, I hope you enjoyed. Drop a like on the video. If you did, hit me in the comments section your thoughts and feelings about the strikers that potentially we may look at, and obviously what needs to happen for us to actually go for one of those strikers. Obviously, Fabrizio Romano's quotes into Spurs' summer transfer window, and of course, the man on thumbnail, Jonathan David, potentially being one of Man United's top targets this summer. So let me know your thoughts and feelings about all that. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, at the end of the video, I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.